Thanks a lot for joining in. That's CAMS on understanding the synergies between the Think Analytics stake and what happens with the business itself. The stock is under a bit of pressure, down almost 0.7%, but the management is trying to build the analytics practice, a complete stack of services and products in this analytics space. But let's move on and talk to Mitessh now. Mitessh Thakkar joins in. This is our segment Charting Trends. The market, by the way, is pulling back a little bit. L&T is actually the one batting for the bulls this morning, up 1.5%. Bajaj Auto is up 1.5% as well. Britannia, BPCL are a couple of stocks that are in the green. But today we talk about some stocks from a slightly medium-term perspective. Mitessh, first on the index itself, what are the charts indicating? In the medium term, do you expect the markets to revisit their lows? And first of all, are we looking to revisit Feb lows itself? And what's the level that you're watching?
So, Sonia, on the Nifty, my sense is that, with the rally which started in July of 22, we moved up from 15,000 odd levels to about 18,800, which was a new high. And then we have corrected. But I think broadly, we haven't gone and make a directional kind of bias. So I think the index looks range bound. I think next few months, which could be about 2 quarters, 2 or 3 quarters, the index might do a range of about 16,950 on the downside and 18,500 on the upside. If 16,950 breaks, we might have a one-time kind of a decline to about 16,500, 400 levels. But I don't think we are looking for a big directional bias in the next 6 to 9 months. So broadly, I think below 17,000 around that level is the time to buy. Closer to early highs of 18,500, I think there are times to take profit. So you should be slightly more trading in your approach. But looks like consolidation at higher levels, which is not a bad thing in the longer-term charts.
Okay. All right. Mitessh, that's about the index, but let's talk about the CPSE index. Now, that seems to be in a world of its own. Even on Monday, that did very, very well. What are the targets you're looking at out there?
Okay, Nigel, let me confess this. I think Nimesh had pointed this out long back, and I was keeping a very close eye on this CPSE index. We had a high of around levels of 4,400 way back in October of 2017. And then, since October of 2021, we have had about 5 or 6 attempts around that level of 4,400, not getting a monthly close above that. I think this time it looks like the chart setup of the individual stocks, which have weightage over there, and the index itself looks like we'll have that breakout. And once that happens, the CPSE index on a minimum, I would expect it to do possibly levels of around 4,950 to about 5,000. But 5,400, 5,500 looks like to be the more logical target, and we can even have higher extension because we'll be in a new all-time high territory. So in that sense, very, very positive over there. In fact, I would suggest to people who are investing with a medium to longer term outlook should shift a good amount of weightage of their portfolios into PSE stocks.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Some of these names have been really breathtaking, and that the way the index itself has moved at a time when the market has been in a very lackluster, dull phase, it's quite breathtaking. So, Mitessh, make it a little simpler for us. Which are the charts within the constituents of this index which look the strongest to you?
Oh, I've picked up 4 stocks over here. Disclaimer that I have interest in all the 4. So, basically it's clearly a vested interest. But I think these are the stocks which are clearly showing signs of good expansions happening on the monthly and the weekly and the quarterly charts, which means that next few months, these stocks should keep making newer highs. And as you were rightly saying, they've been resilient. While the Nifty has failed to make a new high since the last 3-4 months of correction, stocks like PFC, for example, that's my first pick, is clearly now trading on a new high. And that's, I think, if you take out the dividend, which it paid about 3.5-4 rupees, that even adds to this trend. The longer-term monthly chart suggests, and this has been a recommendation earlier as well, that a target of 175, 180 is a minimum. So I think we are now close to that, but we are looking at an extended target of around 200 over here. Any declines would be a very, very welcome buying opportunity. Let's say if you get a 5-7% kind of correction because of global issues, which is around 155, 156 levels, if you get an entry, buy with a stop below 144 for targets of 200 in a medium term, I think a few months kind of a perspective.
Okay, just want to say, Mitessh, thank you very much for, of course, all of those ideas there within the central PSU basket. Resilient is a word you could use for the market right now as well. Just look at the way the market's pulled back and all the dips are getting bought. It's absolutely fascinating. A lot of the metal stocks, you should get the intradays up for you. Tata Steel, Hindalco, some of the auto names like Bajaj Auto and NTPC. Phenomenal moves from the opening gap down that we had. Many of them are actually holding out quite nicely in positive territory. Just 22 points lower now, Sonia, on the Nifty. Who would have known?
Absolutely. So a big comeback over there in the last 1 hour. But Mitessh, you were talking about the PSU space, right? Anything else that you like on the technical charts for slightly medium to longer term?
Yeah. So three more stocks, Sonia. I've covered PFC, the sister concern, or very similar kind of business profile is of REC, which I think is heading towards 145, 150, which gives you roughly about 15% kind of an upside in the next few months. But that's the first target. The extended targets are around 160, 165. So you have roughly about 34% kind of an upside from current levels. That's a buy. Keep a stop above below levels of 110 over here. And if you get a decline of around 5-6%, even good levels to enter over here. The next stock on my list is Gas Authority. And, very interesting thing over here. If you look at the long-term charts, which is the monthly charts for Gas Authority over here, 2016, we got a high of around 106, 107. And then in 2022, early, which is about Feb, March, we got a similar high on a monthly closing basis. Now we have managed to get past those 106, 107 levels. So the entire formation looks like what typically chartists will call as a cup and handle formation, giving you a target of roughly around 125, 130 to begin with, which means another 12-30% upside from current levels. But the extended targets are really interesting. And I'm looking at a target of around 150, which is roughly about 33% kind of an upside. And this, now that 106, 107 is crossed, I think this month's low of 102 becomes your stop loss. So very positive on GAIL. And again, as I said earlier as well, we have interest over there. And my final stock is Power Grid. The stock, if you look at the last about 1.5 years of price movement, it's had a range between 228 to about 195. And it's had multiple points on the upper end of the range, which is around 228 to about 230 levels. And even on the lower side, about 195 to about 194 levels. Now it looks like, with the indicators rising on the longer term charts, now it looks like the stock is ready for a breakout. So once it gets past 230, I think I would look at a minimum target of around 275, 255 to about 260 over here. But eventually 280, 290 is what I'm looking at. And therefore, it's a buy about 230. Keep a 10-point stop loss once the breakout is complete. And look for about 30 point of minimum target with the possibility of 50, 60 points coming in on the upside.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Mitessh, for that. That's on the technical charts. But let's do one thing. Let's take a short break. The other big headline is that crude prices have fallen by $3 a barrel, with Brent now at sub $84. We'll get you more on that in just a bit. Stay tuned.